The Minnesota Vikings are not good and they have a really confusing future coming up. Let's get this straight to start the video. A few months back, I made a video called The Minnesota Vikings Are Gonna Regress. And well, it looks like they have regressed. They currently have a 1-4 record, and not just that. I talked about in that video how I think them winning all those one possession games was kind of a fluke. Well, guess what? In one possession games this year, they are 0-4. And the Vikings also have a very confusing future coming up. I mean, they got a lot of questions. Questions like, is Justin Jefferson gonna sign his contract extension? What's the future at quarterback? Is this Krik Cousins last year with him being a free agent? Just a whole around tons of questions for this Vikings organization. So I thought it should be a good idea to break this team down and just see the questions that they have right now, because honestly, they're not looking like a good football team right now. But before we get into it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really helps out this channel, and let me know how you guys feel about the Vikings this season, because things are not looking good whatsoever. First off, let's get into their turnover problem on offense and with the fumbles, because this thing is a huge problem that needs to be fixed ASAP. I mean, you can't be turning over the ball this much. Currently, the Vikings lead the NFL in turnovers on offense. They have 8 lost fumbles and 4 interceptions. I mean, this is clearly not going to help you win football games. I feel like every game I watch of the Vikings on NFL Red Zone, I see somebody fumbling. And of course, this is just one of the problems the Vikings have. But like I said, these turnovers do not help them whatsoever. If you want to be a winning football team, or the football team that we saw the Vikings were last year, you cannot be turning over the football this much. This is absolutely ridiculous. But besides the turnovers on offense, I mean, this Viking offense has been playing pretty well. Krik Cousins and Justin Jefferson have just been doing their thing on offense. Jordan Addison has actually looked like a really nice addition and is really filling that wide receiver 2 role really well in Minnesota, in my opinion. And then of course you got TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the NFL in my opinion, doing what he does best. I mean, the pass game, you can clearly see it's pretty good, but the one thing that does concern me is this run game. It's kind of concerning, I'm not gonna lie. You can really tell this Minnesota Viking team does miss Dalvin Cook, and when they had a good run game with him, in my opinion, Matterson just doesn't feel that role of how good of a back Cook was when he was in Minnesota. They also brought in Cam Akers to help out the run game, and honestly, when I saw that they signed Cam Akers or traded for him, I should say, it really didn't move me whatsoever. I really think trading for Cam Akers really isn't gonna do much for your run game, especially how he's playing right now. So in my opinion, yeah, the pass game is pretty good besides all the turnovers that they're having with these fumbling problems, and the run game, it's very questionable at times, and I personally don't really care for it. And honestly, yeah, I feel like that's a fair explanation of this Minnesota Vikings offense and what we have seen so far this year. But yeah, I would say the biggest problem on this Viking team besides the turnovers is definitely this defense. I mean, they have some problems. I really thought bringing in Brian Flores was going to do something special to this defense, but like I said in that video, I didn't think it was going to do anything too special, and we've really seen that this season. They've given up 20 points to the Buccaneers, 34 to the Eagles, 28 to the Chargers. Now don't get me wrong, those are some great offenses, but if you want to go ahead and win games, you gotta have a nice defense. Because you want to know something, guys, that someone told me a very long time ago: defense wins championships. You gotta have a solid defense. You can't have the offense do everything. You need a defense. Like I said, on that defense, the Vikings really don't have that many good players on defense, in my opinion. Their defense is kind of lackluster, in my opinion. I think that would be the best word to describe it. I thought that Brian Flores would do some things to this defense. I mean, we've seen a few things, but we really haven't seen that much. And last year, I know the defense was bad and a whole bunch of stuff happened, but listen, the Vikings were also undefeated in those one-possession games last year. And when that happened and they kept winning those one-possession games over and over again, they were fine. They didn't really need to worry about their defense, but then they got exposed in the playoffs by the Giants. And not just that, it's showing this year, like I said earlier in the video, these one possession games, that luck that you guys had last year, it's wearing off, and it's clearly showing the Vikings' true colors this year. So all around, in my opinion, this Viking team really isn't looking good, and because of these problems that they're facing this year with the defense not looking good, and just them all around not winning games, and it's already being week 5, they have a lot of questions to answer this offseason. Because honestly, the way that the Vikings are currently looking, I don't have them making the playoffs. They look like they're not going to be a playoff team this year, and I would honestly agree with you if you said that they're not going to make the playoffs. But let's get into the future of this Minnesota Viking team, because like I said, they got a lot of questions, especially if they don't make playoffs this year. They're going to have a ton of questions and a ton of things to answer this offseason when the time comes. Starting off with the questions on offense regarding Krik Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Now, if you did not hear the news that just came out recently, Justin Jefferson has a hamstring injury and he has been placed on IR. Now, this is very significant looking at Jefferson's contract and the situation in Minnesota. Because here's the thing with Jefferson, if the Vikings are already 1-4, let's say they go ahead and drop all the games that he's on IR. Let's say they go 1-8. Let's just say, I'm not going to say they're going to, but let's just say in a hypothetical world they do. Why would Jefferson want to come back? I mean, if the team is eliminated from the playoffs and he's worried about his contract that needs to get coming up, why would he go ahead and play meaningless games? I mean, wouldn't that make no sense whatsoever? And you can visually see in games Jefferson is on the sideline and in the game getting frustrated over this Vikings team losing games. You can visually see it. Now another huge question that really affects Justin Jefferson is the future of Krik Cousins. He is a free agent going into next year. Now, from all the rumors that are coming out, it's really sounding like this is going to be Krik Cousins' last year in Minnesota. Now, why is this significant, you might ask? Well, let's say Justin Jefferson does sign that contract in the offseason and he likes to stay with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this doesn't mean that Krik Cousins is going to continue being his quarterback. They might have a completely different quarterback going into next year, especially at the rate that they're going at with winning and losing these games. And that's where the Vikings really got to start thinking now, in my opinion. I mean, they're already 1-4. You got a quarterback that's getting old and he's a free agent next year. What do you do with the future? I'm really interested to see what the GM does with this team. I mean, he has a big decision that he's gonna have to make with this team. I mean, currently there is a guy like Caleb Williams that a lot of teams are hyping up that he might be the #1 overall draft prospect in this year's draft, and he looks like a great quarterback out of USC. That could maybe be something Minnesota's interested in. Trading Krik Cousins at the trade deadline, maybe to like a team like the Jets, maybe, or just a QB needy team and somehow get some draft capital for him and go ahead and tank the rest of the year to go ahead and get a guy like Caleb Williams or Drake May. This is really going to be something that Minnesota's going to have to think about going forward, because this is a huge decision. It definitely affects the future of Justin Jefferson, because what if Justin Jefferson doesn't like the situation? He doesn't want to restart. He wants to have a good quarterback and put up amazing seasons and go ahead and win a championship. Because let's be honest, let's just say they go ahead and draft a rookie or something like that. This team's going to be nowhere close to going ahead and winning a Super Bowl. And what if Justin Jefferson doesn't like that? He's like, I'm putting up all pro numbers. This is not something I want to deal with. I want to go somewhere else where I can go ahead and compete for a championship. Because in Minnesota, especially if a rookie next year, things are not going to be right. The Vikings currently hold the 4th pick in the NFL draft currently. It's just something they got to think about, especially with Justin Jefferson getting placed on IR. This whole team and the whole team's future really got to be thought about. And the GM, Mr. Quessy, is really going to have some interesting things that he's going to have to do this offseason. It's going to be very interesting to see what he's going to have to put together with this team. Because like I said, it's not looking like a playoff team. They have a lot of things that they're going to have to worry about this offseason. Future of Justin Jefferson, future of Krik Cousins, future of a lot of things. It's going to be interesting. In my final conclusion of this video, honestly, trading Justin Jefferson if he wants out might not be a bad idea, and trading Krik Cousins at the trade deadline to get something out of him might not be a bad idea either. Let's be honest now, the Vikings are not looking good, and in my opinion, I think it might be time for a full rebuild. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe you'll enjoy this one of me breaking down the Milwaukee Bucks and their new look. And also watch these YouTube shorts right here about fantasy football, especially if you play fantasy football. They might go ahead and help you, and I will see you guys in the next video.